Israel plans 1984-like crackdown using health passports. Now that Israel has rolled out their vaccination program and seen a reduction in infections, they are planning a George Orwell-like crackdown on the unvaccinated, those who refuse to take the vaccine. What will you do when this type of tyranny comes to your nation? That's what we're talking about today, and we're starting right now. The Israeli Health Ministry is planning to try and force all Israelis to vaccinate. Either that, or they're going to impose severe sanctions on those who refuse. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said whoever doesn't vaccinate endangers all of us because they can cause the health system to collapse. He said this despite the fact that the number of infections and deaths and hospitalizations of seriously ill patients have dramatically dropped during the last week. Your statement doesn't make any sense, Mr. Prime Minister. Cases are dropping, yet the unvaccinated are posing a risk to the health system? However, despite the lack of logic, let's see how they're planning to implement the system. But first, we want to give a shout out to community member Becky Parago for alerting us to this development. Now let's see what Israel is planning on doing. Israeli Health Minister Yuli Edelstein plans to offer freedoms to those who take the shot and to set limits on the options of those who don't. Edelstein said, whoever doesn't vaccinate will only go out to supermarkets and pharmacies, while the vaccinated will go to stadiums and gyms. Officials are also looking to limit access to hotels, restaurants, cultural and sporting events for those who refuse to be vaccinated. Edelstein went on to say he was considering proposing legislation that would enable employers to prevent workers who aren't vaccinated from even coming to work. He planned to also impose strict sanctions on the businesses that accept unvaccinated customers, again, only allowing them to enter pharmacies or supermarkets. Additionally, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said at a coronavirus cabinet meeting this week that he plans to push through additional legislation that would enable local authorities to receive the names of residents who have not yet been vaccinated so they can keep an eye on them. How does that sound? The Israelis plan to use a green badge and issue it to those who have been vaccinated. This is oddly reminiscent of Hitler, who issued a yellow star to the Jews prior to the Holocaust in Nazi Germany, and you know how that turned out. I find it odd that Israel, of all countries, don't see this horrifying similarity. So, if this is implemented, and it certainly seems like it will be, those refusing vaccines will be cut out of the economic system. Very few will be able to avoid taking the vaccines if these Orwellian plans are implemented. It will limit a person's ability to buy and sell. Let that sink in. This brings us to the point about other alternative medicines that might act as a preventive. It seems Israel isn't even considering these other options. Now, in this video from another channel, this alternative is discussed, and you can click in the upper right to see that video. Interestingly, despite over 24 double-blind studies on this alternative, Bill Gates decided just last week to fund a new study to determine if these 24 previous studies that support use of the alternative are in fact accurate. What do you think the odds are of a Gates-funded study also finding it useful? Pretty low, aren't they? Maybe there is an agenda in the study. Personally, I find it very interesting that the study is on the alternative rather than a study that looks as a comparison between vaccines and the alternative. That's just my personal observation. Nor does Israel seem to be considering the impact of reaching herd immunity. If 80% take the vaccine, the question then becomes, why force those who fear the safety of it to take it anyway? This is a very interesting question. Why force everyone to take it if it's no longer necessary? If case counts drop to almost zero, Why would you be forcing everyone to take it? So if Israel is planning to implement these draconian measures, what about your nation? What do you think will happen to those in your church who might refuse the shot? Now, we can anticipate when these things might happen in your country. The USA, for one, anticipates that vaccines will be available to all adults by July. So that would be the potential date for such a crackdown in the USA. And certainly all nations will likely have it available by the end of this year. So in the comments, please discuss what your personal plans are. If this type of health passport or green badge is implemented in your nation, will you give up your job? And will you accept only going to pharmacies and supermarkets? These are the kind of things our community really should be thinking about right now, as there is still time to pray and time to prepare for what you might do. And I'm sure you've heard that this system might limit a person's ability to buy and sell. I'm sure you heard that loud and clear in this video. Everyone is probably beginning to wonder, might this be the mark of the beast? If not, how might something like this morph into the true mark of the beast? Click right here to watch how the world might move from what we've heard of as the Great Reset in Western nations to the mark of the beast. Till then, this is Nelson, and I'll see you there.